What if the most unbelievable places on Earth are not accidents of nature, but decisions made at drafting tables, inside engineering labs? In moments when someone looked at a map, a mountain, a river, or an ocean, and refused to accept its limits. For thousands of years, geography dictated how humans lived. Mountains blocked movement. Rivers flooded cities. Oceans separated continents. Ice, wind, and gravity set boundaries no one could cross. The world was something to endure, not redesign, until it wasn't. At some point, humanity began to ask a different question. Not can we survive here, but can we make this work? Can a road pass beneath a lake? Can a bridge stretch where nothing exists to hold it? Can a city float, move, and function at sea? Can frozen oceans become shipping lanes? Can deserts generate power for millions? These ideas once sounded absurd, yet today they exist. Not as concepts, not as promises of the future, but as functioning systems embedded into the planet itself, from coastlines that were drawn by satellites, to rivers that no longer flow freely, to structures so large they alter weather patterns and trade routes. Human engineering has quietly rewritten the rules of what is possible. This is not a story about technology alone. It is a story about pressure, population, climate, movement, survival, and about what happens when those pressures force humanity to confront the planet head-on. In this journey, we explore 30 megaprojects that did not merely overcome nature, but negotiated with it, adapted to it, and reshaped it. Because the impossible does not disappear, it gets engineered. And once it does, the world is never the same again. In the Netherlands, water is never just scenery. It is a constant presence and a constant challenge. Much of the country lies below sea level, protected only by an intricate system of dikes, pumps, and carefully managed waterways. Here, engineering is not optional. It is survival. The Veluwemeer Aqueduct offers one of the quietest, yet most counterintuitive solutions ever built. At first glance, nothing seems unusual. A calm stretch of water, boats gliding smoothly across its surface. No towering bridge, no dramatic structure breaking the horizon. Then you look closer. Beneath the water, cars are moving. Instead of lifting traffic high above the lake, Dutch engineers reversed the logic entirely. They cut a shallow water channel and allowed the road to pass under the surface, while boats continue uninterrupted above it. Water flows where roads usually go, and roads disappear beneath it. The aqueduct itself is only about 25 meters long, but it captures centuries of Dutch mastery over water within a remarkably small space. The water above is carefully regulated, kept shallow enough for small vessels while minimizing pressure on the structure below. Every layer of concrete, waterproof lining, and drainage system is designed to withstand constant hydraulic force. The result is efficiency without spectacle. There are no traffic lights, no drawbridges, no waiting for boats to pass. Both road traffic and water traffic move continuously, almost unaware of each other's existence. Surrounded by open sky and still water, the Veluwemeer Aqueduct feels deceptively simple, yet it embodies a powerful philosophy. Rather than fighting water, the Netherlands learned to integrate it into infrastructure. Rather than imposing dominance, it designs coexistence. This small, almost invisible structure reveals something profound about the future of engineering. Not every innovation needs to be monumental. Sometimes, the most elegant solutions are the ones that quietly flip our expectations and make the impossible feel completely natural. In most cities, roads spread outward across flat land. In Chongqing, that option never existed. This megacity rises, where mountains collide with rivers, a landscape carved by steep slopes and narrow valleys. Flat ground is rare, yet more than 30 million people move through this terrain every day. To make that possible, engineers had to abandon the idea of roads as horizontal surfaces. The Huangjuan interchange is the result. Rather than expanding outward, the interchange rises upward, stacking traffic into a three-dimensional maze suspended above the city. Built across 5 vertical levels, it connects 8 major traffic directions within a structure that looks less like a highway and more like a piece of urban machinery. From above, the layout appears almost impossible to navigate. Loops fold over loops. Ramps spiral through open air. Roads cross at heights where gravity feels very present, and yet nothing here is accidental. Every curve, merge, and elevation follows precise mathematical models of speed, flow, and safety. The entire interchange spreads across more than 160 acres, designed to absorb the relentless pressure of a city where traffic never truly sleeps. Huangjuan exists because Chongqing had no alternative. Mountains prevented sprawl, rivers blocked expansion. So the city learned to build vertically, turning gravity from an obstacle into part of the solution. This is infrastructure shaped directly by geography. The interchange is not a monument. It is not meant to impress. It exists to function, to keep a megacity moving in a place where movement should have been impossible. Huangjuan reveals an important truth about future infrastructure. As cities grow larger and land becomes scarcer, transportation will no longer stay on a single plane. It will stack, twist, and rise. In Chongqing, the road did not go around the problem. It went over it, under it, and straight through it. Here, the future of urban mobility isn't flat, it's vertical. At the mouth of the Tagus River, where land dissolves into water and the Atlantic begins to assert its force, Lisbon faced a growing problem. Traffic was choking the city. The river, wide and unpredictable, had become a barrier rather than a connection. Any solution would have to span not just distance, but wind, tides, seismic risk, and scale. The answer was the Vasco da Gama Bridge. Stretching nearly 17 kilometers, it is the longest bridge in Europe, less a single structure than a continuous system unfolding across water. Rather than crossing the river at one dramatic point, the bridge follows its natural width, dispersing stress and movement along its entire length. This was not built as a showpiece. It was designed for endurance. The bridge sits in a region exposed to strong Atlantic winds and seismic activity. Its foundations are driven deep into the riverbed, engineered to flex rather than resist when the ground moves. Supports are spaced carefully to accommodate tidal shifts, temperature changes, and constant saltwater corrosion. Every element is calculated to survive, not just daily traffic, but decades of environmental pressure. Completed in time for Expo 1998, the bridge transformed Lisbon's urban geography overnight. Traffic once forced through the city center now flows around it. Entire districts opened for development. Movement became smoother, quieter, and faster. Seen from above, Vasco da Gama Bridge appears almost understated, a thin line stretching across open water. But its true scale reveals itself only with time. It is not meant to dominate the landscape. It is meant to outlast it. This bridge represents a different kind of engineering ambition, not vertical spectacle, not record-breaking height, but persistence. a structure designed to absorb stress, adapt to motion, and remain functional in a world that never stops changing. Vasco da Gama Bridge reminds us that the future is not always built by going higher or bolder. Sometimes it is built by going longer and thinking further ahead than anyone else. Before the bridge existed, the Golden Gate was not a gateway. It was a barrier, a narrow strait where the Pacific Ocean surges into San Francisco Bay, shaped by powerful tides, dense fog, and relentless wind. For decades, crossing it meant ferries, battling currents, and weather that often made passage dangerous or impossible. Many believed a bridge here could never stand. Then, engineers decided to try anyway. Completed in 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge became the longest suspension bridge span in the world at the time, and one of the most audacious engineering projects of the 20th century. Its twin towers rise more than 700 feet above the water, anchoring steel cables that hold the roadway in a delicate balance of tension and gravity. Nothing about this environment was forgiving. The bridge had to survive constant salt spray, corrosive air, violent storms, and the ever-present risk of earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault. Rather than resisting movement, the structure was designed to flex, swaying with wind, shifting with seismic energy, absorbing forces instead of breaking under them. Even its color was engineered. The iconic international orange was chosen not for decoration, but for visibility through thick coastal fog and resistance to corrosion. During construction, a revolutionary safety net was installed beneath the deck. It saved the lives of 19 workers, an unheard-of measure in an era when industrial projects often accepted fatalities as inevitable. Today, the Golden Gate Bridge is continuously inspected, repaired, and repainted. It is a structure that is never truly finished, constantly maintained to remain alive. What makes the bridge extraordinary is not just its beauty or scale, but its philosophy. It does not dominate nature. It negotiates with it. Suspended between land and ocean, stability and motion, the Golden Gate Bridge stands as proof that some of humanity's greatest achievements are not about conquering the environment, but about learning how to exist within it. Here, the impossible did not disappear. It was stretched, balanced, and held together by trust in engineering, and by tension that never lets go. At one of the narrowest points in Greece, a thin strip of land once forced ships to make a long and dangerous journey around the Peloponnese Peninsula. Storms, unpredictable currents, and hundreds of extra nautical miles turned a short distance into a serious maritime obstacle. The solution seemed simple in theory: cut straight through the land. In reality, it took more than 2,000 years for that idea to become possible. The Corinth Canal slices through solid limestone, stretching roughly 6 kilometers from the Aegean Sea to the Ionian Sea. Its vertical rock walls rise more than 70 meters straight up from the water, forming a narrow corridor where ships appear dwarfed by stone. The concept dates back to ancient Greece and Rome. Emperors imagined it, engineers dreamed of it, but the technology to carve such a passage simply did not exist. It was not until the late 19th century that modern engineering finally caught up with ancient ambition. Explosives and heavy machinery were used to blast directly through the isthmus, removing millions of cubic meters of rock. Instead of following the landscape, the canal rejected it, drawing a perfectly straight line through geology that had stood unchanged for millennia. When it opened in 1893, the Peloponnese effectively became an island. Maritime routes were shortened dramatically. Navigation became safer, faster, and more predictable. Yet the canal also reveals the limits of engineering ambition. At just over 20 meters wide, it is too narrow for most modern cargo ships. Today, it serves mainly small vessels and tourism, a reminder that technology evolves faster than infrastructure. Still, the Corinth Canal stands as something rare, a place where ancient vision and modern machinery finally met. A scar carved into the earth that permanently altered geography itself. It is proof that humanity has long been willing to reshape the planet, not just to survive, but to redraw the very paths by which the world moves. Here, the impossible did not fade with time. It waited until we learned how to cut straight through it. High in the mountains of the Czech Republic, there is a place where the idea of solid ground simply ends. Between two ridgelines in the Kraliki Snizhnik mountain range, the Skybridge 721 stretches across open air, a thin line suspended above forests, cliffs, and depth that instantly commands attention. At more than 720 meters long, it is the longest pedestrian suspension bridge in the world, and every step across it is a reminder that gravity is very real. The bridge hangs over 90 meters above the valley floor, where trees shrink into texture and the landscape drops away without warning. There are no solid walls, no enclosed structure, just steel cables, open grating, wind, and space. Skybridge 721 was not built to shorten a commute or solve traffic congestion. It exists to confront terrain that once separated people completely. The challenge here was not just distance, it was exposure. Mountain winds can shift suddenly. Weather changes without warning. Temperatures swing rapidly. To survive these conditions, engineers stripped the structure down to its essentials. Lightweight steel cables carry the load. An open deck allows wind to pass through rather than push against it. The bridge is designed to move to sway gently, absorbing energy instead of resisting it. This controlled movement is what keeps it standing. For visitors, the experience is both physical and psychological. Each step tests balance, trust, and instinct. The bridge doesn't hide the void below. It forces you to acknowledge it. Skybridge 721 represents a modern approach to extreme landscapes. Instead of flattening mountains or tunneling through them, engineers chose to float above. Minimal intervention, maximum reach. Here, engineering does not dominate nature. It draws a line through it carefully, lightly, and with precision. Skybridge 721 shows that the future of infrastructure is not always about building bigger or heavier. Sometimes, it's about building just enough to make the impossible passable, a path where there was once only air, and the courage to walk it. In southern France, the Tarn River cuts a deep valley through rolling plateaus, once forcing traffic to descend, cross, and climb again along slow, winding roads. What should have been a simple passage became a daily bottleneck shaped by terrain rather than demand. The solution was not to follow the valley, it was to rise above it. The Millau Viaduct spans the Tarn Valley like a line drawn in the air. At its highest point, the bridge stands 343 meters above the ground, taller than the Eiffel Tower. 7 slender piers lift the roadway into the clouds, creating the tallest cable-stayed bridge in the world. Despite its scale, the structure appears almost fragile. That illusion is intentional. The viaduct was designed to glide over the landscape, not overpower it. Its deck is narrow and streamlined, allowing wind to pass around it with minimal resistance. Each pier is shaped to withstand extreme mountain gusts that can exceed hurricane force. The challenge here was not only height, but movement. Temperatures shift dramatically at this altitude. Winds change direction suddenly. The bridge had to flex, expand, and breathe without losing stability. Construction itself became a milestone. Instead of building from the valley floor upward, engineers assembled the roadway segments on land and slowly pushed them outward from both sides of the valley. Each section advanced into open air, until the spans met precisely above the river below. The entire structure was completed in just 3 years. When it opened in 2004, the Millau Viaduct transformed regional travel. Journeys that once took hours were reduced to minutes. Traffic flowed smoothly across terrain that had resisted infrastructure for centuries. More than a solution to congestion, the viaduct redefined how large-scale engineering could interact with nature. It does not carve through the land, it barely touches it. The Millau Viaduct stands as proof that sometimes the most powerful way to overcome geography is not to fight it, but to rise above it so lightly that the earth below continues almost undisturbed. A road that floats, and a reminder that engineering, at its best, can feel almost invisible. In the early 1970s, Toronto faced a problem that did not look dramatic from the ground. As the city grew denser, television and radio signals began to collide with buildings, distorting communication across the region. The solution was simple in concept: build higher than everything else. What emerged was anything but simple. The CN Tower rises 553 meters into the sky, piercing layers of wind, weather, and atmosphere. When it was completed in 1976, it became the tallest freestanding structure on Earth, a title it would hold for more than 3 decades. This was not a monument built for beauty. It was built for performance. At its core is a massive reinforced concrete shaft, engineered to withstand hurricane-force winds, heavy ice accumulation, and subtle seismic vibrations deep below the city. At full height, the tower can sway by several centimeters without compromising its stability movement, designed in, not feared. Visitors experience this height viscerally. A glass floor, more than 340 meters above the ground, allows people to look straight down, turning vertical distance into a physical sensation. On clear days, visibility stretches for dozens of kilometers, sometimes far enough to glimpse the distant shoreline across Lake Ontario. The CN Tower is also a living experiment in atmospheric science. It is struck by lightning more than 70 times a year, safely channeling that energy through one of the most advanced grounding systems ever constructed. Each strike is absorbed, measured, and released back into the earth. Over time, the tower's role expanded. What began as infrastructure became identity, a symbol of Canada's technological confidence and urban ambition. The CN Tower represents a moment when cities chose to solve problems by going vertical rather than outward. When height itself became a tool, it stands as proof that engineering does not end at the skyline. Sometimes it begins there, where the air thins, the wind strengthens, and the margin for error disappears. On the waterfront of Malmö, a white tower rises not straight upward, but in motion. This is the turning torso, one of the most daring experiments in vertical architecture ever built. At first glance, it looks as if the building itself is rotating, slowly twisting against the sky, and in a way, it is. Standing 190 meters tall, the tower is composed of 9 stacked segments, each one rotated slightly from the one below. From base to crown, the structure completes a 90-degree twist, transforming a static skyscraper into a frozen moment of movement. The idea came not from engineering textbooks, but from the human body. Architect Santiago Calatrava based the design on a sculpture of a twisting torso, translating anatomy into steel, concrete, and glass. But turning a sculpture into a habitable building introduced a serious problem. Gravity does not twist. Every rotation changes how weight travels downward. Every shift alters how wind pushes against the structure, especially along Sweden's exposed coastline, where strong gusts are constant. To solve this, engineers designed a central reinforced concrete core that carries the majority of the vertical load. Around it, each segment acts as a rigid unit, connected by a steel exoskeleton that stabilizes the twist and redistributes stress. The building doesn't resist the wind. It works with it. The rotating form disrupts airflow, reducing vortex, shedding the oscillating forces that can cause tall buildings to sway dangerously. Movement is controlled, anticipated, and absorbed. Inside, the tower functions as a residential building, with apartments occupying each rotated section. No two floors are exactly the same. Geometry becomes part of daily life. When it was completed in 2005, Turning Torso became the tallest building in Northern Europe. More importantly, it proved something fundamental. Skyscrapers no longer had to be boxes. They could bend, they could twist, they could express motion while remaining stable. Turning Torso marks a moment when architecture stopped pretending to be static. It shows that the future of vertical cities may not rise in straight lines, but in carefully engineered curves where gravity is not defied, but elegantly redirected. Bangkok is a city defined by movement. Traffic flows in layers. Streets pulse with energy, and the skyline reflects a constant state of change. Rising above it all is the Mahanakhon Tower, a structure that looks as if it has been digitally carved rather than traditionally built. Completed in 2016, the tower stands 314 meters tall, making it Thailand's tallest building at the time of its completion. But its most striking feature is not its height. It's what appears to be missing. The building's facade breaks apart into a series of pixel-like voids, spiraling up the structure as if chunks of the tower have been erased. This fragmented form is not decoration, it is engineering. These recesses reduce the building's visual mass, allowing the tower to breathe within the dense urban fabric of Bangkok. At the same time, the irregular geometry disrupts wind patterns at extreme heights, reducing pressure and improving structural performance. Digital logic becomes physical form. At the top of the tower, more than 310 meters above the streets, sits one of the highest skywalks in the world. A transparent glass floor allows visitors to look straight down into the city, compressing Bangkok's scale into a single, vertigo-inducing moment. But Mahanakhon is more than a landmark. Inside, it functions as a vertical city. Offices, residences, hotels, retail spaces, and transit connections are stacked within a single footprint, reducing the need for horizontal expansion in an already crowded metropolis. The tower represents a shift in how Southeast Asian megacities approach height. Rather than copying Western super-tall designs, Mahanakhon embraces a language born from data, algorithms, and digital aesthetics, translating the logic of pixels into concrete and steel. It reflects a future where skyscrapers are no longer smooth, uniform monoliths. They are adaptive forms, shaped by wind, density, and computation. Mahanakhon does not rise quietly. It fractures the skyline. And in doing so, it shows how the digital age is no longer confined to screens. It is now embedded directly into the cities we live in. For thousands of years, the Yangtze River has been both a lifeline and a threat. It nourished civilizations, carried trade deep into China, and flooded its banks with devastating force. Controlling it seemed impossible. The Three Gorges Dam was China's answer. Stretching more than 2.3 kilometers across the river and rising nearly 185 meters high, It is the largest hydroelectric project ever built. Behind its concrete wall, a reservoir extends for over 600 kilometers, transforming valleys, towns, and entire ecosystems into open water. At full capacity, the dam's turbines generate more than 22 gigawatts of electricity, enough to power tens of millions of homes at once. Energy on a scale, once reserved for coal fields and entire regions, is produced by the movement of water alone. But electricity was only part of the equation. For centuries, seasonal flooding along the Yangtze caused massive loss of life and property. The dam tames the river's most violent surges, turning once unpredictable torrents into a managed flow. It also makes inland shipping safer, allowing massive cargo vessels to travel deep into the country. The scale of this intervention is unprecedented. Millions of people were relocated. Historic sites disappeared beneath the reservoir. Entire landscapes were permanently altered. Even the planet felt the change. Scientists estimate that the immense volume of stored water slightly redistributed Earth's mass, causing a measurable, though tiny, slowing of the planet's rotation. The Three Gorges Dam represents one of the boldest decisions humanity has ever made regarding nature. It does not negotiate with the river, it commands it. This makes the dam both a triumph and a controversy. It delivers clean energy and flood control on a monumental scale, but at immense social and environmental cost. Three Gorges forces a difficult question into the open. How far should humanity go when reshaping nature for survival and progress? Here, the impossible was not overcome gently. It was met head-on, with concrete, turbines, and consequences that will last for generations. Deep in southern Siberia, where mountains close in and winters are long and unforgiving, the Yenisei River cuts through a narrow granite canyon. Here, isolation and extreme climate once defined the limits of human activity. Then, the river was stopped. The Sayano-Shushenskaya Dam rises nearly 245 meters high, making it the tallest hydroelectric dam in Russia and one of the most powerful in the world. Rather than relying on sheer mass, it uses a curved arch design, directing the immense pressure of the reservoir sideways into the canyon walls themselves. Geometry becomes strength. Behind the dam, billions of tons of water are held in place, feeding turbines capable of generating more than 6.4 gigawatts of electricity. This power fuels heavy industry across Siberia, aluminum smelters, factories, and entire cities that could not exist without it. The environment here is relentless. Temperatures swing dramatically. Ice forms thick on the river. Remote location means construction materials, workers, and machinery had to be transported across vast distances under extreme conditions. Building this dam was not just an engineering challenge, it was a logistical one. Completed during the Soviet era, Sayano-Shushenskaya embodied a philosophy of confronting nature directly. The canyon was not rerouted. The river was not diverted around the site. Instead, it was captured at its narrowest point and turned into a controlled system. The dam's history also carries a warning. In 2009, a catastrophic accident inside the power station exposed the consequences of failure at this scale, causing massive damage and loss of life. The facility was later rebuilt and modernized, incorporating advanced safety systems and renewed structural integrity. Today, Sayano-Shushenskaya stands restored, both a source of immense power and a reminder of responsibility. It represents a future where energy is extracted not from fuel, but from geography itself. And it shows that when humans lock power inside a canyon, they also lock themselves into the consequences of maintaining it forever. High in the Swiss Alps, where glaciers melt into sudden torrents and weather can shift in minutes, water is both a resource and a risk. Harnessing it requires precision, not excess. The Imosen Dam rises here like a stone horizon, spanning a narrow alpine basin more than 1,900 meters above sea level. Standing nearly 180 meters tall, it is one of Europe's largest arch dams, a structure that relies on shape rather than sheer mass. Instead of resisting pressure head-on, the dam bends. Its curved concrete wall redirects the force of millions of tons of water sideways into the surrounding granite cliffs. The mountains themselves become part of the structure, sharing the load and providing stability that no flat wall could achieve. This design was not chosen for elegance. It was chosen for survival. At this altitude, engineers had to account for freezing temperatures, heavy snowfall, rapid meltwater surges, and the immense weight of ice-fed reservoirs. Materials had to endure expansion and contraction year after year without cracking or failure. Completed in the late 1960 seconds, Emerson Dam captures seasonal glacial runoff and converts it into steady hydroelectric power that feeds Switzerland's national grid. Energy generated here flows quietly into cities far below, rarely noticed by those who depend on it. The dam's setting later gained global attention when it appeared in the James Bond film GoldenEye, transforming a remote energy facility into a cinematic landmark. But its real significance lies beyond the screen. Emerson represents a philosophy of engineering, deeply rooted in landscape. Rather than overpowering the Alps, the dam works with them. Rock, water, and concrete form a single system, each supporting the other. In a world searching for sustainable energy solutions, Emerson shows how careful design can turn natural extremes into long-term stability. Here, the future is not built by fighting nature. It is built by understanding its forces so precisely that even a mountain becomes part of the machine. At the edge of the Sahara Desert, where heat dominates the landscape and life seems fragile, one of the world's most ambitious energy experiments rises quietly from the sand. This is Noor Ouarzazate, one of the largest solar power complexes ever built. Spreading across more than 3,000 hectares, the facility does not rely on rooftops or panels scattered across cities. Instead, it transforms the desert itself into infrastructure. Thousands of curved mirrors track the sun's movement throughout the day, reflecting light toward a central tower that rises over 240 meters high. At its peak, the tower glows not from electricity, but from heat. Inside, molten salt is heated to temperatures exceeding 500 degrees Celsius. This thermal energy is stored and released gradually, allowing Noor to generate electricity even after sunset. In a region where sunlight is abundant, but power stability is critical, storage becomes the breakthrough. This is what separates Noor from conventional solar farms. It doesn't just collect energy, it holds it. The complex produces enough electricity to power over 1 million homes, while preventing hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon emissions each year. It is a cornerstone of Morocco's national strategy to source more than half of its electricity from renewables by 2030. What makes Noor remarkable is its restraint. There are no towering cities here, no crowds, no spectacle meant to impress, just mirrors, heat, and silence. For decades, deserts were viewed as empty barriers to development. Noor redefines them as assets, places where scale, sunlight, and space create opportunity rather than limitation. In a future increasingly dependent on electrification, electric vehicles, data centers, smart grids, projects like Noor may prove more important than any skyline because no city, no technology, and no system can function without energy that is reliable, continuous, and clean. Noor Ouarzazate shows that the future does not always arrive in steel and glass. Sometimes it arrives in light, captured, stored, and released with precision in one of the harshest environments on Earth. When the icon of the seas emerges from port, it does not feel like a ship leaving land. It feels like land itself has begun to move. Rising nearly 365 meters from bow to stern and weighing more than 250,000 gross tons, Icon of the Seas is the largest cruise ship ever built. Its scale rivals that of aircraft carriers, yet it exists not for war or industry, but for everyday human life. This is not a vessel. It is a floating city, designed to carry more than 7,000 passengers and thousands of crew members at the same time. The ship is divided into 8 distinct neighborhoods, each planned with the logic of urban design. There are streets, gathering plazas, entertainment districts, green spaces, and layered activity zones stacked vertically above the ocean. Inside, the infrastructure never sleeps. Restaurants, theaters, medical centers, logistics systems, water treatment facilities, and power networks operate continuously, mirroring the complexity of a modern coastal town. At its core sits the largest water park ever built at sea, complete with record-breaking slides, surf simulators, and suspended pools overlooking open water. The challenge was not simply size, it was balance. Every ton of steel, glass, and water had to be distributed precisely to keep the ship stable in rough seas. Every system had to function autonomously, often days away from land-based support. Icon of the Seas also represents a shift in maritime engineering. It is powered by liquefied natural gas, significantly reducing emissions compared to previous generations of cruise ships, an acknowledgement that scale must now be paired with responsibility. More than luxury or spectacle, Icon of the Seas pushes the boundary of what humans can build, inhabit, and operate on the ocean's surface. It challenges a long-standing assumption that cities must remain anchored to land. Here, urban life detaches itself from geography. And in doing so, Icon of the Seas offers a glimpse of a future where infrastructure is no longer fixed in place, but capable of moving with the world it serves. A city that sails. In the Netherlands, the sea is never just water, it is a constant calculation. Large parts of the country lie below sea level, including Rotterdam, one of the busiest ports on Earth. A single storm surge from the North Sea could flood entire cities within hours. The Maasland storm surge barrier was built for moments that may come only once in a lifetime, but cannot be allowed to fail. Rather than forming a permanent wall, the barrier remains open almost all the time, allowing ships to pass freely. It waits. At its core are two colossal steel gates, each nearly 210 meters long, making them among the largest moving structures ever constructed. Under normal conditions, they rest inside dry docks like enormous ships invisible to daily life. When storm forecasts predict dangerously high sea levels, the system activates automatically. Computers analyze weather data, tidal models, and water pressure in real time. If the threshold is crossed, the gates swing out into the waterway. Ballast tanks flood, the gates sink, and together they form a temporary dam, capable of holding back the force of a North Sea storm. The barrier has been fully closed only a handful of times since its completion in 1997. That rarity is intentional. It is not designed for frequent use. It is designed for absolute reliability when everything else fails. Maasland embodies a uniquely Dutch philosophy. Do not fight the sea. Negotiate with it. Instead of walls that isolate land from water, the Netherlands builds systems that adapt, respond, and stand down when danger passes. This structure does not announce itself as a monument. It exists in waiting mode, silent and prepared. In a future shaped by rising sea levels and climate uncertainty, Maasland offers a powerful lesson. The most advanced defenses may not be the ones we see every day. They are the ones that activate only when the worst arrives and hold the line long enough for a country to survive. A gate that closes, so life behind it can continue. In the Arctic, the ocean does not move. It locks itself in ice, thick, layered, and relentless. For most of human history, these frozen waters marked the end of navigation. Trade routes stopped. Maps faded into white space. The Arctic was not crossed. It was avoided. Russia chose a different approach. Instead of waiting for the ice to retreat, it built ships designed to break it open. Russia's fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers is unlike anything else on Earth. These vessels are engineered to confront ice more than 3 meters thick, using reinforced hulls shaped to climb onto the ice and crush it under sheer weight. At the heart of each ship lies a nuclear reactor. This is the key difference. Unlike diesel-powered vessels that require frequent refueling, a nuclear icebreaker can operate continuously for years without stopping. In one of the most remote and inhospitable environments on the planet, endurance is everything. These ships are not built for warfare. They exist to keep the Northern Sea route open, a polar shipping corridor that can shorten the journey between Europe and Asia by thousands of kilometers compared to traditional routes. As global trade expands and Arctic ice patterns change, this route is becoming strategically critical. The environment these vessels face is extreme. Temperatures plunge far below freezing. Ice shifts without warning. Storms form quickly, with little shelter in open polar seas. To survive, every system on board is redundant. Every component is designed for failure scenarios. The ships themselves become moving power plants, navigation hubs, and lifelines combined into one structure. Russia remains the only nation to operate a full civilian fleet of nuclear icebreakers. It is a decision driven by geography, ambition, and necessity. These ships reveal a stark truth about human engineering. When the planet refuses to cooperate, humanity does not always adapt quietly. Sometimes it forces a path through. Russian nuclear icebreakers represent a future where oceans once considered unreachable become working infrastructure, not by melting the ice, but by confronting it directly. A reminder that even the most solid boundaries on Earth can be made to move. Off the coast of Dubai, the shoreline does something coastlines are not supposed to do. It forms a perfect palm tree. This is Palm Jumeirah, one of the most ambitious coastal engineering projects ever attempted, and a place where geography itself was redesigned to meet human intention. Before construction began, this was open sea, no land, no foundation, no natural shelter from waves or tides. To create the island, engineers moved more than 100 million cubic meters of sand and rock, dredged from the seabed and placed with satellite-guided precision, accurate to just a few centimeters. There was no concrete core, no steel skeleton. The island is held together by gravity, friction, and carefully layered geology. Its iconic palm shape was not chosen only for symbolism. The 17 fronds dramatically expanded Dubai's usable coastline, creating over 40 kilometers of new beachfront in a region where natural shore is scarce. Encircling the palm is a crescent-shaped breakwater, nearly 11 kilometers long, designed to absorb wave energy and protect the inner waters from erosion. Every curve was modeled to manage currents, sediment movement, and long-term stability. The challenge did not end with construction. Engineers had to monitor how tides reshaped the seabed, how sand shifted over time, and how water circulation affected marine life. Building the island was one task. Keeping it alive was another. Completed in less than a decade, Palm Jumeirah permanently altered Dubai's coastline and global image. It became a symbol of extreme ambition, luxury, spectacle, and engineering confidence, condensed into a single form visible from space. But Palm Jumeirah also raises deeper questions. When humans gain the ability to redraw coastlines, what responsibilities come with that power? Palm Jumeirah shows a future where land itself becomes a designed product, planned, shaped, and deployed according to economic vision. Here, the impossible was not crossed or climbed. It was constructed from nothing, a reminder that in the modern world, even the edge of the continent is no longer fixed. Far above the Arctic Circle, on a remote island where winter darkness can last for months, the future of human civilization is stored quietly inside a mountain. This is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often called the world's Doomsday Vault. It is not a monument, it is not meant to be seen, and it was never designed to celebrate progress. It exists for one reason: continuity. Carved more than 100 meters into solid Arctic rock, the vault sits deep inside a frozen mountain, where natural permafrost keeps temperatures stable even if power systems fail. Here, cold itself becomes technology. Behind reinforced steel doors lie seed samples from nearly every country on Earth, over 1 million varieties of crops, carefully sealed and catalogued. Rice, wheat, corn, barley, vegetables, the genetic foundation of global food supply. Each packet represents centuries of agricultural adaptation, and each one is irreplaceable. The vault was designed to withstand scenarios most cities try not to imagine. War, pandemics, climate collapse, nuclear disaster, even rising sea levels were accounted for. The vault sits high above the ocean, angled so melting ice drains outward rather than inward. What makes Svalbard remarkable is its restraint. There are no experiments conducted here, no daily operations, no visitors walking its halls. Most of the time, nothing happens. And that is the point. The Seed Vault reflects a rare moment in human engineering, where the goal is not expansion or efficiency, but preservation. Planning not for growth, but for failure. In a world obsessed with speed and innovation, Svalbard asks a quieter question. What if progress collapses? By answering that question in advance, the vault becomes one of the most important structures ever built, not because of what it does today, but because of what it might be forced to do one day. Svalbard reminds us that the future is not only about building higher or faster, sometimes it is about protecting what already exists, long enough for humanity to begin again. Beneath the hills of central Romania lies a space so vast and unexpected that it feels disconnected from the world above. This is Salina Turda, a salt mine carved deep into the earth, where centuries of extraction slowly transformed geology into architecture. Mining here began in the 17th century, long before modern machinery existed. For generations, workers cut into solid salt by hand, gradually creating chambers of enormous scale. Over time, these excavations expanded into caverns, so large they could contain entire buildings. Today, the ceilings rise more than 60 meters overhead. Walls shimmer with crystallized salt, reflecting soft light across a space shaped not by design, but by persistence. When salt extraction ended, the mine could have been abandoned. Instead, it evolved. The air inside Salina Turda is naturally saturated with salt ions and maintains stable humidity and temperature year-round. Long before modern medicine could explain why, people noticed that breathing here eased respiratory conditions. What began as an industrial site became a therapeutic environment. Now, the mine hosts underground walking paths, sports courts, a Ferris wheel, and quiet observation spaces, all embedded deep below the surface. Human activity unfolds in a place once defined by labor and darkness. Salina Turda represents a rare intersection of geology, history, and human health. Unlike megaprojects that dominate landscapes from above, this one disappears into the ground. It does not reshape skylines, it reshapes how we think about space. The mine shows that engineering does not always require new construction. Sometimes it requires reinterpretation. A void becomes a destination. A former workplace becomes a sanctuary. A byproduct of industry becomes a tool for healing. Selena Turda reminds us that the future is not always built forward or upward. Sometimes it is uncovered, layer by layer, beneath our feet. And in those hidden spaces, the past and future can quietly coexist. When the Eiffel Tower was first proposed, many believed it should never exist. Artists called it a scar on Paris. Writers signed petitions demanding it be stopped. Critics dismissed it as a temporary experiment, a mistake made of iron. They were almost right about one thing. The Eiffel Tower was never meant to last. Built for the 1889 World's Fair, the tower was designed as a demonstration of engineering rather than beauty. Rising 330 meters into the sky, it became the tallest man-made structure on Earth, a title it would hold for more than 40 years. At the time, nothing like it had ever been attempted. Over 18,000 prefabricated iron components were assembled using more than 2 million rivets, calculated with such precision that the structure could flex safely in high winds instead of resisting them. The tower was not rigid. It was elastic. That flexibility became its greatest strength. As the years passed, the Eiffel Tower proved unexpectedly useful. Its height made it an ideal platform for radio transmission, meteorological experiments, and early telecommunications. What was meant to be dismantled after 20 years became scientifically indispensable. The tower survived not because it was loved, but because it worked. Over time, public perception shifted. The same structure, once ridiculed as industrial arrogance, became the most recognizable symbol of Paris and one of the most visited landmarks on Earth. But the Eiffel Tower's true legacy is deeper than symbolism. It marked a turning point, a moment when engineering stopped hiding behind stone and ornament and began to express itself openly. Steel was no longer concealed. It was celebrated. The Eiffel Tower showed the world that modernity could stand tall, unapologetic, experimental, and exposed. Here, the future did not arrive quietly. It rose above the city in iron and rivets and forced humanity to reconsider what beauty, strength, and possibility could look like in the age of engineering. In San Francisco, height has never been the greatest challenge. The real threat comes from below. This city sits near major fault lines, shaped by seismic forces that make traditional skyscrapers a constant risk. Strong winds from the Pacific add another layer of pressure. Any tall structure here must be designed not just to stand, but to move. The Transamerica Pyramid was the answer to that problem. Completed in 1972, the tower rises 260 meters above the city, its sharp, tapering form instantly setting it apart from the box-shaped buildings around it. At first glance, the design seems radical, even theatrical. In reality, it is deeply practical. The pyramid shape narrows as it rises, reducing wind load and allowing air to flow more easily around the structure. Less surface area at the top means less force acting on the building during storms. At the same time, the tapered geometry improves stability during earthquakes by lowering the center of mass and distributing stress more evenly. Inside, a reinforced concrete core and steel truss system allow the building to flex without collapsing, absorbing seismic energy rather than resisting it. The form also serves the city. By stepping back as it climbs, the tower allows more sunlight to reach the streets below, avoiding the shadow-heavy canyons created by traditional high-rises. Urban comfort becomes part of the engineering equation. When it was first built, many critics rejected the design as too extreme, too different, too disruptive to the skyline. But time proved otherwise. The Transamerica Pyramid became one of San Francisco's most recognizable landmarks, not because it chased height records, but because it respected its environment. This building represents a future where architecture is shaped less by appearance and more by context. It shows that in cities defined by risk, survival becomes the strongest design principle of all. Here, geometry is not decoration, it is protection. A reminder that sometimes the safest way to build higher is to narrow, adapt, and let the earth move beneath you. In Valencia, the future did not rise from untouched land. It emerged from absence. For centuries, the Turia River flowed through the heart of the city until catastrophic floods forced it to be diverted away. What remained was a dry riverbed, a scar of geography and risk running straight through Valencia's core. Where many cities would have built roads or forgotten the space entirely, Valencia chose something else. It chose imagination. The City of Arts and Sciences stretches across this former riverbed as a sequence of white, organic structures that appear more biological than architectural. Designed by Santiago Calatrava, the complex unfolds like a living system. Bones, eyes, wings, and shells translated into steel and concrete. Each structure serves a distinct purpose. The Science Museum acts as an interactive laboratory, turning physics, biology, and space exploration into public experience. The Opera House rises like a sculptural instrument, engineered to balance immense weight while appearing almost weightless. The aquarium, the largest in Europe, contains entire marine ecosystems, from polar waters to tropical reefs, housed beneath glass domes shaped like water lilies. What makes the complex extraordinary is not just its form, but its origin. This was once a place defined by danger and destruction. Now it is a corridor of learning, culture, and discovery. Water, once feared, is reintroduced as reflection pools and shallow basins, cooling the space and amplifying light. The architecture does not erase the past, it responds to it. City of Arts and Sciences represents a powerful idea in modern urban design. That failed or abandoned infrastructure does not have to be removed, it can be reimagined. Here, geography was not corrected. It was rewritten. The complex stands as proof that cities evolve not only by expanding outward, but by transforming their own history into a foundation for the future. A reminder that sometimes the most visionary projects begin where something once went wrong and choose to become something extraordinary instead. At the edge of Antwerp's harbour, a historic fire station once stood as a symbol of the city's industrial past. Built in the early 20th century, it was solid, functional, and grounded, exactly what a port needed at the time. Then, the future arrived above it. The port house, designed by Zaha Hadid, does not replace the old building. It hovers over it. The new structure rises more than 60 meters into the air, appearing to float like a crystalline ship suspended above brick and stone. Its angular, faceted glass exterior reflects sky and water, echoing both maritime imagery and Antwerp's history as a diamond trading center. This was not an aesthetic gesture alone. Preservation laws prevented altering the historic fire station, forcing engineers to design a solution that avoided touching it. The answer was to anchor the new volume on a series of concrete cores positioned around the original structure, allowing it to soar without resting on the past beneath. The building's form is asymmetrical and dynamic, shaped to balance weight and wind forces coming off the river. Inside, steel trusses distribute loads across the structure, making the illusion of flight structurally possible. Port House serves as the headquarters for the Port of Antwerp, one of the busiest ports in Europe. Behind its futuristic shell lies a working environment. Offices, meeting spaces, and public areas overlooking the docks where global trade moves continuously. What makes Port House remarkable is its message. It does not erase history. It does not imitate it. Instead, it builds above it, literally and philosophically. This project reflects a broader vision of urban evolution, where progress does not require demolition. Old infrastructure becomes a foundation, not an obstacle. Port House shows that the future can be bold, expressive, and experimental, while still respecting the weight of what came before. Here, architecture becomes a conversation across time, and the result is not compromise, but elevation. In eastern Germany, far from any coastline and surrounded by flat countryside, a tropical island exists where winter temperatures often fall below freezing, but it is not natural. The Tropical Islands Resort occupies one of the largest enclosed spaces ever built by humans inside a former airship hangar originally designed for a dream that never flew. The structure stretches nearly 360 meters long, rises more than 100 meters high, and encloses enough volume to fit the Eiffel Tower on its side. When it was completed in the early 2000s, it was intended to house massive cargo airships capable of transporting heavy loads across continents. The project collapsed before those airships ever took flight. What remained was an empty shell, a monument to abandoned ambition. Rather than demolish it, engineers and planners reimagined the space. Today, inside the hangar, a controlled tropical climate is maintained year-round. Rainforests, lagoons, beaches, and warm air replace steel frameworks and industrial silence. Thousands of trees and plants grow beneath a roof of steel and fabric, sustained by complex climate systems that regulate temperature, humidity, and airflow. The challenge was scale. Creating stable weather inside such a vast enclosure requires constant monitoring and energy management. Air circulation mimics natural patterns. Lighting is carefully calibrated to support plant growth while maintaining comfort for visitors. Outside, snow may fall. Inside, palm trees sway. Tropical Islands Resort is not a traditional mega project built from the ground up. It is a study in adaptive reuse, proof that failure does not have to mean abandonment, a structure designed for one impossible vision was transformed into something entirely different. Here, engineering did not chase novelty, it rescued it. The resort demonstrates how future infrastructure may evolve, not by endlessly constructing new megastructures, but by repurposing those that no longer serve their original purpose. Tropical Islands shows that sometimes the most radical engineering decision is not to build something new, it is to ask what an existing machine could become if we dared to imagine it differently. In the heart of Segovia, stone arches rise above the city with a calm authority that feels timeless. No steel, no concrete, no visible reinforcement, just stone, perfectly balanced. The Segovia Aqueduct was built nearly 2,000 years ago, during the height of the Roman Empire, to carry fresh water from distant mountain springs into the city. It stretches more than 800 meters, reaching heights of almost 30 meters at its tallest point. What makes it extraordinary is not only its age, it is how it stands. The aqueduct was constructed without mortar. More than 20,000 granite blocks were cut with extreme precision and placed so accurately that gravity alone holds the structure together. Each stone transfers its weight to the next, creating a continuous chain of compression that has survived centuries of earthquakes, weather, and political collapse. Roman engineers designed the channel with a barely perceptible slope, just enough to keep water flowing smoothly without causing erosion or overflow. Over its entire length, the gradient changes by only a few centimeters. This level of precision was not accidental, it was mathematical. The aqueduct functioned continuously for over 1,800 years, supplying Segovia with fresh water long after the Roman Empire itself disappeared. While borders shifted and rulers changed, the infrastructure remained. Segovia Aqueduct represents a different kind of mega-project. There is no spectacle, no technological bravado, no attempt to dominate the landscape. Instead, it demonstrates restraint. The structure follows the terrain rather than fighting it. It uses geometry instead of mass. It relies on understanding forces rather than overpowering them. In a world obsessed with speed and innovation, the aqueduct delivers a quiet lesson. Durability is not always about stronger materials. Sometimes it is about getting everything exactly right the first time. The Segovia Aqueduct reminds us that the future is not only built by new technology, It is also built by ideas so sound that they remain standing long after their creators are gone, stone by stone, century by century. Across mountains, deserts, grasslands, and ridgelines, a line of stone and earth stretches farther than the eye can follow. This is the Great Wall of China, the largest defensive structure ever attempted by human civilization. It is not a single wall. It is a system, built and rebuilt over more than 2,000 years. The Great Wall extends over 21,000 kilometers, weaving through some of the most challenging terrain on Earth. Rather than cutting across the land, it follows it climbing razor-thin mountain ridges, descending steep valleys, and bending with the contours of the landscape. Geography was not an obstacle. It was a weapon. Engineers used local materials wherever possible: stone in the mountains, compacted earth in the plains, brick near urban centers. This adaptability allowed construction to continue across vast distances without relying on centralized supply chains. The wall was designed for communication as much as defense. Watchtowers and beacon towers formed an early warning network. Smoke by day and fire by night could relay messages across hundreds of kilometers in hours, a continental-scale communication system long before electricity or radio. The human cost was immense. Millions of laborers, soldiers, and prisoners contributed to its construction. Many never returned home. Yet the wall endured. It did not stop all invasions, but it reshaped how territory was defended, how borders were imagined, and how engineering could serve strategy on a continental scale. The Great Wall represents a moment when architecture became inseparable from state power. It was not built to impress future generations. It was built to survive them. Today, the wall stands as both monument and memory, a reminder that humanity has long attempted to engineer security, control space, and impose order on vast landscapes. It shows that the impulse to build the impossible did not begin in the modern age. It has been with us for millennia, stretching stone across mountains, in the belief that engineering could hold history at bay. At the confluence of three powerful rivers in southwestern China, a stone figure watches over the water in complete stillness. This is the Leshan Giant Buddha, the largest stone Buddha statue ever carved by human hands. Standing 71 meters tall, the statue was carved directly into a cliff face during the Tang dynasty, beginning in the 8th century. Its scale is so vast that a single toe can hold multiple people, and its shoulders stretch wider than a city street. The project began as an act of faith. Local monks believed that placing a massive Buddha overlooking the rivers would calm the violent currents that regularly caused shipwrecks and loss of life. But belief alone could not carve stone on this scale. What followed was centuries ahead of its time. As stone was removed from the cliff, the debris fell into the rivers below, subtly altering their flow. The currents slowed. Navigation became safer. But the engineering genius lies hidden within the statue itself. An intricate drainage system runs through the Buddha's hair curls, ears, chest, and robes, channeling rainwater away from the surface. This prevents erosion, cracking, and collapse, a necessity in a region with heavy rainfall and seasonal flooding. The statue is not solid. It is engineered. Every feature serves both symbolic and functional purpose, blending spiritual intention with practical design. The Lashan giant Buddha represents one of the earliest examples of large-scale environmental intervention through construction. It was not built to dominate nature, but to stabilize it. Here, faith, hydrology, and geology converge into a single monumental solution. More than a religious icon, the Buddha stands as proof that ancient civilizations understood complex systems even without modern tools. It reminds us that the line between spirituality and engineering was once thin. And sometimes, the most enduring megastructures are born not from power or profit, but from a desire to protect life. By shaping the world in stone. Between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea lies a strip of desert that once forced ships to choose between distance and danger. For centuries, global trade had no choice but to sail around the entire African continent, a journey that added weeks, risk, and enormous cost. The Suez Canal changed that forever. Stretching roughly 193 kilometers across Egypt, the canal cut a direct, sea-level passage between Europe and Asia. When it opened in 1869, it instantly redrew the map of global commerce. Oceans that had never met were suddenly connected. Unlike canals with locks, the Suez was carved at sea level, requiring the removal of vast quantities of sand and sediment from an unforgiving desert landscape. At the time, much of the work was done with limited machinery and immense human labor, under harsh heat and difficult conditions. The result was transformative. Trade routes shortened by thousands of kilometers. Shipping costs dropped. Egypt became one of the most strategically important corridors on Earth. Today, around 12% of global trade passes through the Suez Canal. Container ships, oil tankers, and cargo vessels move continuously through a channel that operates as one of the world's most critical arteries. Modern expansion projects have widened and deepened sections of the canal, allowing ships to pass in both directions, simultaneously adapting 19th century infrastructure to 21st century scale. The canal's importance was underscored when a single grounded ship temporarily blocked it, halting billions of dollars in trade and revealing how fragile global logistics truly are. The Suez Canal is more than a waterway. It is a reminder that infrastructure does not just support civilization, it shapes it. Here, engineering did not conquer nature, it connected it. And in doing so, it proved that cutting a line through the desert could redirect the movement of economies, empires, and history itself. At Russia's eastern edge, where land meets the Pacific and winter tightens its grip for months at a time, Vladivostok stands as a gateway not just to the sea, but to a future once thought unreachable. This city is one of the key anchors of the Northern Sea Route, a maritime corridor stretching along the Arctic coastline from Europe to Asia. For most of history, this route existed only on maps, blocked by ice, darkness, and isolation. Today, it is becoming infrastructure. Vladivostok functions as a logistical nerve center. Ports, shipyards, fuel depots, navigation systems, and ice-class fleets all converge here. From this point, vessels push northward into waters where temperatures plunge, ice shifts unpredictably, and rescue can be days away. The challenge is not just navigation, it is permanence. Ports must operate in freezing conditions. Fuel systems must remain functional in extreme cold. Satellites, radar, and communication networks must guide ships through regions where storms form without warning and magnetic anomalies disrupt instruments. To make the route viable year-round, Russia has invested heavily in ice-resistant infrastructure, reinforced harbors, Arctic monitoring stations, and a coordinated system supported by nuclear-powered icebreakers that clear passages through frozen seas. The payoff is scale. The Northern Sea Route can reduce travel distance between Europe and Asia by up to 40% compared to traditional southern routes. That means less time, less fuel, and a strategic alternative in a world where global trade routes are increasingly fragile. But this expansion also carries consequence. Melting Arctic ice, climate instability, and ecological risk sit alongside economic opportunity. Here, infrastructure does not merely follow geography, it accelerates change within it. Vladivostok and the Northern Sea Route represent a future where even the planet's most hostile regions are integrated into global systems. Not by softening the environment, but by building machines, networks, and cities capable of enduring it. At the edge of ice, the world is learning to move again. Across mountains and deserts, beneath oceans, and inside frozen ground, one pattern becomes impossible to ignore. What we once called impossible was rarely a wall. It was a question, a river too strong to cross, a climate too harsh to inhabit, a distance too vast to connect, a force of nature too unpredictable to control. And time after time, humanity did not wait for the conditions to change. We changed our understanding instead. Every project you have seen is not simply a display of scale or ambition. Each one is a solution, a carefully reasoned response to geography, physics, climate, and risk. Some were born from necessity, others from vision. Many came with consequences that still demand responsibility and reflection. But together, they reveal a deeper truth. Progress is not about eliminating limits. It is about identifying them, studying them, and designing around them. Steel does not defeat gravity. Concrete does not conquer water. Technology does not erase nature. They negotiate with it. From ancient stone structures that still stand, to modern megaprojects that reshape global systems, the story is the same. The boundary between cannot and can is rarely fixed. It moves, with knowledge, with imagination, and with the courage to attempt what has not yet been solved. The future will present new challenges that seem just as impossible as these once did. And when it does, history suggests only one thing. Impossible is not the end of the conversation. It is simply the beginning of the design process.